Hi, this is Susan. We're working on binder clip purses today. Yay! They don't come the same as they used to. They're in all colors, all sizes, and you can find them a lot of places, even the dollar stores. So just have fun collecting and planning. Now, some people use fabric. I like to use paper, and I make mine a little more tailored, so I'm just going to show you this, how I do it. This is scrapbooking paper, and a head pin has the pearls on it, and then I use jewelry findings for the clasp. This one has a little bit thicker material, it's from the craft section of Hobby Lobby, and it's got a vinyl coating to it on the back, but very pretty, and it came in a couple of different colors. So it's over by the jewelry section, like in the where the felt and things like that are. And then this is just a piece of chain and a jewelry finding with a little rhinestone. And I'm doing excuse me, I'm doing 60s here, as you can see by the colors. I have a boutique that's one of my videos that is more the 40s and the 50s, and it's loaded with all kinds of eye candy. So you want to go and see that. Now, I also love to get the little charm shoes, and they come so you can make them earrings or bracelet charms. But just cut the back end off, sand it, and you can actually add straps to them, but you can spray paint them. So if you get one style and you want to make different colored purses, you can spray paint them. It's good to put them on some kind of paper, and you could even put them on a piece of cardboard that you do the color of your floor so that it blends, and that way they'll stand up. But see, in this group, I spray painted the top so that the top would be the same color as the shoe, and then the top of the little hat box. And so here's some charms here. And, of course, the little perfume bottles that we love, and some little jewelry pieces, and a necklace with a little charm, which was just off of a bracelet, or just a chain that I just broke apart. And some pearls strung on some thread, a little rhinestone for decor, a little jewelry finding. These are great for using, if you ever get these, they're great for making curtains. You sew these onto the top of curtains, so they go through the rod. And then I've got a little bead, plastic bead here. I got these little smaller ones at Dollar Tree to try to make nail polish. So over here, I'm using a brad. And I'm going to do another video with some more accessories. And this is a brad. If you take these pieces off and glue two together, then stuff it with a little bit of cotton that you've rounded to make a little pad. And there's a little nail polish in blue, if anybody uses blue nail polish. Little perfume bottle. Here's another one that was cute, that was square, little square bead, plastic bead. And if you'll get your cocktail toothpick, I just did a video about this sea life and shells and coral, and I showed how to make these. This one's more a blush brush, but I showed the concept if you want to go back and look at that. And this lipstick is an eyelet, and I think it's so long ago, I think that's a piece of a toothpick, but this one is a little bead. And I used the lead from my mechanical Crayola pencil. And I have red as well that I've used a lot of. So that works out nicely. If you've seen where to buy the mechanical ones. I don't know, had them so long, I don't know where I got it. Maybe Walmart has them someplace. Okay, so let's get started. I'm gonna talk, first I want to talk about the hat boxes. And I made a hat box. This is a roll from this was together, and it had ribbon on it. So it's just a ribbon roll. Because they're thick, I went ahead and used that. And then I made the top. And if you make the top just from, trash card stock, whatever, cardboard, your macaroni and cheese or cereal box, make it a little loose so there's room for your paper to go on. Because these that I purchased, these are made from shaved wood that they had at Hobby Lobby years ago, and I had them in my stash when I taught this before. And they are like a veneer. It's just so thin, but you can't, because they're tight, you can only put your paper up to the line of your top. So you have to paint the rest. So if you're making yours, make it a little looser on the top. Okay, so take a strip, use your thumbnail, kind of make it curled. Do 2 of them because one is too thin, but if you use thicker, then it would buckle. So you have to add them, put a couple of them together. And glue them in place first. You can see the inside came out that much more because the inside's always smaller. So glue them like that first. And then layer your top pieces, 2 or 3 of them. And then when this is all dry, then you can put them together, cut them down. And I'm sure you can figure out how to make that, but just some tips on it. And then you can decorate them with your craft paper. And this right here is this, let me show you that. That's this cotton braiding cord. They make friendship bracelets out of it. It's pretty much everywhere. Kids like it. And they come about 4 or 5 colors together. So unfortunately, if you want one color, you end up with 4 or 5 just to get the one color. But so if anybody knows of another project we can do with the cording, I have a bag full. And I would love to be able to do something with them. So please tell me anything you've done or you'd like to see done. And then you can put like little jewelry findings on the tops of or you can put bows, or you can get some resin flowers. And this is actually wallpaper. So let's get started. You want to take your binder clip, whichever color. Excuse me, I've got allergies today. And take a little sanding block and sand. Be really careful you don't sand into your top because that will show in your purse. But sand around. Try to get this ridge a little bit. And you're just trying to get something to let the glue grab because it's such a smooth surface. Okay, so just a little sanding. Be careful, the top. Leave the handles on because we want to do all the work with the handles. And so this one, I just went ahead and make every one of these is different, so I can't tell you a template. It's just to make it, and it's so simple. It's just a rectangle, and then all you do is cut out this little notch and make sure it's wide enough at this point to go fill in this whole area. You don't want too much of this showing behind it if it's a different color. So make sure you have the width. So this one I cut, you can see I have plenty of width there. I'm going to make a doctor's bag out of this, believe it or not. It's red, but I'm going to use my ink pen, alcohol ink pen to do it black. So the first step is just to glue this in place. And they then put some clips on them to pull them up. You know, like a kind of pull the clip. The clip will pull the fabric or your paper up. And now, speaking of fabric, some people like to take fabric, do them with fabric, and then tuck the fabric into the sides and be done with it. And so that's an option. And I put sides on mine. So let me show you the next. I've done this in stages just to get through it quickly. So here we have the body of it's on, and I've taken little kind of triangular cut off pieces and glued those onto the sides and let them glue up. But the one thing you have to keep in mind is when you pinch these to put in your handles or your, I'll show you a couple of different ones, but your pearl that's on a head pin or this, and these are on pins. You make your little curled pin using your jewelry tool to hold your chain, and it slips down in. So you just have to pinch this. When you pinch this, it separates on the side, and so it'll mess up with what you've been gluing. So you have to do it just very gently, very, very gently. And I think it's better to put the handle on before you get doing this side too much, because you may have to re-glue this if it pulls away. So the next phase we're at is we've got this body on glued, and we've got this on, and the handle, this one now has just a little piece of leather, and this is just imitation leather. And they have this everywhere too. You know, kids like to make necklaces. And this has 2mm imitation leather. And I just found it at Hobby Lobby, so you can find it at any craft stores. And so I put that in there, and I decided to put a little hangy thing because I think those are so cute. This was actually basketball paper, and they had football paper, and I don't know if Hobby Lobby still carries it, but it was in the scrapbooking. They may, you know, since Joann Fabrics closed, they may be, you know, increasing their stock, both Michaels and Hobby Lobby, to accommodate, you know, people that used to go to Joann's. So we'll just have to keep an eye out. Okay, so again, you need to put this in before you start working on the sides. Now on this one, you can see on this, I did a trim. I did that braid cord around the sides. I like that. I think it's kind of a tailored decorative touch that it just kind of makes it look more finished. But in this one, the paper met up with it just fine and kind of didn't really need it. It looked good. Now the one tip you can do is take one of your Sharpie markers and go around that edge right there and just get rid of any, you know, lighter color that might be on the back of the paper that's showing through. Just, you know, dab it just the tiniest bit. So the next thing was to put the feet on, and I used super glue, the gel, and these are just seed beads. Unfortunately, that gel always leaves this frosty look around it. So that's another thing that you might want to take the Sharpie marker and go around it and kind of try to get rid of that frosty glue look. Okay, so the next thing was to put a little decoration on it, and so I've done that so that it would go ahead and set up. It's kind of hard, you know, to do this small detailing in front of the camera, but let me show you one that I started to do. Okay, this one had a chain handle, But I did start to do the braid. And this is just, you know, this little braid. It's cotton. I like the braid that has a little bit of a shiny finish to it. It's like it's got some kind of wax on it or sealer or something. It tends to hold the color a little better than some of it that they use for making bracelets looks a little, I don't know, it just doesn't have the sheen to it. So look for that sheen if you have a choice between them. I really like that sheen on the cording. And then if it starts lightening up, you know, when you handle it a lot, sometimes that will do it, and, you know, moving it around. Or over time, it'll lose some of its color, and you can always go back in with your Sharpie marker and touch it up. The other day I was touching up some lace with a white marker, and it looks so much better after I did that. So you can do that. Okay, so on this one I've got the little hangy down bead, and now they need both of these need the clasp. I haven't put the clasp in place, and this needs the feet. Now you can decide if you like this cord. I made this one so you could see the difference between the cord and not having the cord. And when you do the cord, I think it's better to meet up so you don't even see it. I met up at the bottom right here, and you don't even see it. It's right there. So I think that's better than to meet up at the top. This one I met at the top, and you can see the difference. You can actually see where it met. So I say you can. I can see it. So anyway, come around and meet at the bottom. And I got a lot of chain at Michael's. At the point where I was buying this, they had a lot of strands of chain in their gallery. Okay, so if you want to do the hanging down little piece, here's what you want to do. You take your piece of chain and get the amount that you want for to be just the handle part, and then add a little bit to it. And that will be, let me lay it out here for you, that will be the hanging down part. So see how this is the handle, the pins are here to go down in. Now I just made the pin out of a head pin, just, you know, did my loop with this jewelry tool. And then I added this little bit, and if you'll save this end of your head pin, you can put your bead on it and then use the same tool to make a loop there, and then add that before you put this in, add it to there, and then it'll just hang down. Now because you're doing metal to metal, this is metal, this is going into metal, use super glue here. The paper, you're using your craft glue. But, and the gummier the craft glue, the better for holding the paper and doing this trim. Just, it's better that way. So, do super glue, and it comes out liberally, so, you know, try to be mindful of that. Okay, at this point, we don't want, you know, when this is drying, you don't want to hold it by this, so you still have your handles on. So if we're going to do this side, then I'm going to leave those handles on for just a little bit longer. And let me see if I can get this on camera. I'll give it a try, because I want to show you how much glue. I'm literally just dotting the glue. And you might even leave, if your glue is fluid, this is a new bottle, just put the least bit on, because you're just doing the edge. And you might let it sit a minute before you start putting the cording on. You can use a toothpick if it's easier for you that way. Okay, remember I said let's start at the bottom. And like I said, I'm attempting this on camera. It's really difficult to do something this detailed. That's why I went ahead and set it up. But the gummier this is, oh, it's so much better when it grabs. And they do have a quick grab glue. And I haven't done this. I haven't made these purses in 12 years. So, now see, I'm making it look so easy, right? The first one I made, when I went to cut the trim off, the excess, the whole thing came off. So, it's not always that easy. But you get better. You know, I've already made a couple, so obviously you get better. Because I haven't done it in over a dozen years. Okay, so look how it's meeting up at the bottom. You might let it grab a little bit before you cut it. Use your little scissors. Hold it when you're going to cut because you don't want to pull off what you just put on. Okay, so now I'm going to get that to go in there. Might have cut a little bit bigger than. I really like the trim. I think it's a real tailored look for the purses. But now if you want to do a purse and not use a binder clip, that's okay too. Okay, look at that. See, you hardly see it. Hardly see it at all. If I hadn't just done it in front of you, you wouldn't know where it started, right? Okay, so here's the, well, let's get that. It's kind of caught up. Well, for some reason that's caught in there. Shaking around. Okay, so it may like one side better than the other. Yeah. Didn't want to work with me. Okay, so I just wanted to show you the difference in them. And using that trim on the sides. I like it. This particular paper, it worked well with it. But if you find a paper that doesn't work as well, then you'll want to do it. Okay, at this point, and you can paint the trim too. I painted one gold. This is a purse I made a dozen years ago, and I painted it gold. It was probably black or white or something. And this was where I spray painted the tops to match the shoes. And this was the first of those vinyl papers that Hobby Lobby had. And this one is in my boutique, if you want to go back to it. And that's, like I said, about the 40s and 50s, and it has hats, you know, because hats were so important. I am going to continue on making a hat to show you the next phase of this, and then I have a shadow box that I'm going to show to you as well, because I need to, things have fallen over, so I need to glue things in. And so it's all 60s, so I think you'll like it. I actually named it the Doris Day because it reminds me of the clothes she wore in the movies, all the bright colors, and just loved her movies. Okay, so now you can take that off. You pinch it, you know, and then pull it down because it has to clear this. Okay, so let's look at a couple of options for our little catches. I made up a few things, and it really depends on what your handle is, because this leather is going to continue to compress and push in on that leather, and so it will get smaller. Now that one has a little pearl kind of like it over here. And this one had just a little gold bead and a little bit of a swirl, so I just put the gold bead on top of the little, I have them here, so you see them. This is what we're working with. And then I also had these little squares. These are very cute too. These make a good, let me try this one on here and show this to you. It has what looks like a little H in it or something. So that looks really cute. This right here was a piece of a chain, this oval. So look for chains that have links that are interesting, and then you have multi-purpose use of them. And if your bead is very thick, you're going to need to sand it. See this one? I sanded. And to make it a little flatter. So I was thinking that was kind of nice to do up here or even on the front, but it's kind of competing with the handle. So the last thing, oh, I was going to say, if you want to do it without, you can just get like a little block of foam if you want to, you know, do your paper purse around the foam. That works too. Okay, so I made some little belts, and this one I used a head pin to just look at the way I curved the head pin around, and you'll figure out how to make one if you just to make the buckle. It's just using the head pin. Now, I did pinch it a little bit, so be careful using your tools because it did cut the tool a slight bit. And then I used super glue I did craft glue on just doing the fold over strip. But then putting it together, I used super glue because it's, you know, a tight fit up in there for this piece and this piece. So if that helps you. And you just poke holes. Just do your holes with your needle tool and feed this strip into your buckle and this pin through one of the holes. So I thought that one kind of looks good. Maybe with the leather handle, more tailored. And then I made this style, which is, I used to design belts for a jewelry company, and so I had all these belt designs, and this was the 80s when we were wearing bigger belts and they were fold over. So this works nicely because you can put a piece of your jewelry finding at this piece of, you know, offset, and then it matches your purse. So that's kind of nice. And you might like to have a little coin purse. And the coin purse is real simple. It's just, it doesn't open. It's all glued together. It's just for show. But it's basically this shape of, it's just a long rectangle that you cut off these edges for your flap and then make your little pleat. Now make it a little wider than I have it here because I folded over the edges and I really didn't have but just the tiniest bit to fold over. So make yours a little wider and play with it. And so then you make, this is the part that's coming up. So then you make your inverted pleat, and then your flap will come down. And it's always good, you know, don't use your paper first. Play with your, you know, this is like cardstock. Just play around with that first. You can use like recipe cards or something like that that's thin, and just play with it. And so here's the belts. that you can also come to a point on the belt, but the tip on the belts is make them small, because by the time that you put the trim around it, that's going to widen it because it's on both sides, and the trim is not on the top, it's around the actual side of the belts, so it's going around. And I found the black. I had this pearlized black. Now, if you do a brown handle, then you'd want brown on the inside of your belt if it matched, you know, to match it or whatever. But I found this pearlized that I had gotten in my scrapbooking. So it had flat black on the back and then kind of a pearly. So something like that works. Then you could use alcohol pens to color paper as well if you need some brown or black on the inside. So both of these patterns do the same thing here. That's for this. But just keep it narrow enough so that you can add your trim around it if you choose to. So get your smallest little jewelry findings, and then this is a nice top to the hat box. I'm going to make one out of this material, and I'll show it to you in the next video. And we'll have to do some of these accessories as well. And, you know, comment and let me know if there's anything that you'd like to see how it's made, because then that'll help me set up the video for you. These little beads are nice. This is like got a filigree, and then this one here had a little fluted look to it. So if you have some of those are nice for your hanging pieces. And you can buy some buckles. If I had this little bag, so I guess I got this, but they kind of are Barbie size. And then this one little one was off of Temu. And I'm trying to, well, keep myself from buying Temu since we're having all the tariff stuff going on. But see, that's very small. So it's really a very small, basic belt and buckle. And then these are so much bigger that they look more Barbie size. But I think I got those on eBay a long time ago. So they're out there. You can find them. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to show you, if you make a piece of jewelry, you might want a stand. See, isn't that a nice stand? And you can just do your pins, you know, take your straight pins and put your holes in to either have your earrings or to hold your necklace. And that is simply this funny coffin shape. It looks just like a coffin. And so just play with it, and it basically just folds down the top, you know, where it comes out like a coffin, and then fold in on the bottom because it's kind of a long coffin. And there you go. It sits back at an angle. And that's what you're wanting, for it to sit back at an angle if you're putting it into a boutique. And these papers were actually jewelry cards, you know, things that I bought. I save the paper when it has an interesting look to it. So save your papers, and then, because, you know, sometimes you're just using the tiniest bit, and you'll get some nice design. Like this one right here, this card, this had a polka dot, so I saved it because I thought, oh, never know. Might want to do something with a polka dot. So that's what that's from. So I think that's everything I have for you today. And let me know what you'd like to see in this realm. And I'm going to show you my shadow box in the next part. So keep an eye out for that. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. And you'll get to see more content like this. And for those of you who are coming back, I'm so thankful. I'm so excited. I've passed 500 subscribers, and I'm just thrilled. And so I'm so glad to see y'all coming back. It just makes all this worthwhile, because you know I'm not getting money. I'm not getting paid. I don't have a sponsor. So it really makes it worthwhile. And any comments you say to me are just, they're so precious, and it just means so much. I thank y'all for that. And so, y'all have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.